Hello. I'm so glad that you're taking time for your personal practice. This video assumes that you have some experience with yoga and are relatively healthy. If you are unsure if this is safe for you, email me at charles@yogateacher.com for advice. Once we begin, looking at your screen may throw off your alignment, so try to follow along by listening to the verbal instructions. Only look at your screen when you are unsure of what you are doing and need additional information. If you need more time in a pose, you are welcome to pause the video or rewind. Now, let's begin. Today's class, we'll be focusing on diaphragmatic breathing. If you aren't familiar with diaphragmatic breathing or are interested, I have a workshop on pranayama, the art of breath, part 1, which goes into the diaphragmatic breathing, explaining it and demonstrating in more depth. Find a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands together over your heart. Namaste. Diaphragmatic breathing is easiest to learn laying flat on your back. By laying on our back, our rib cage is partially immobilized by the floor, which allows us to breathe more easily into the abdomen. Many people find that if they just lay on a firm surface and relax, their breath moves into diaphragmatic breathing without any effort. For some people, though, the habit of breathing into the chest is strong. So to start with, we'll place one hand on the chest, one hand on the abdomen, and then as you breathe, notice if the chest is moving, or if the abdomen is moving, or both. Where does the breath start? Does it start in the abdomen, or does it start in the chest, or do you breathe into both areas at the same time? We want to redirect our awareness, our attention, down into the abdomen. With practice, our attention will remain there, so that when you breathe in, without even thinking, the breath will move deep into the lowest parts of the lungs, and the abdomen will expand as you breathe in. But this requires practice. So take this few minutes, laying on your back and directing your attention to your breath. Don't try to prevent the chest from moving. Instead, focus your mind deep into the low abdomen, and each time you breathe in, focus there as you inhale. Allowing the abdomen to expand as you breathe in, settle as you breathe out, allowing the breath to become fluid, smooth, steady, and wave-like. Take a few more breaths, centering your attention in the abdomen. And then roll to one side and push up into a comfortable cross-legged seated position. Taking a moment to adjust, shifting your weight, tilt forward, walk the sit bones back, draw the flesh out from under the sit bones, and then sitting tall. As you sit comfortably, notice the effect of sitting on your diaphragmatic breathing. See if you can redirect the breath so the chest remains still and the abdomen expands as you breathe in, and on the exhale draw the abdomen in towards the spine. As you continue to practice your diaphragmatic breathing, begin also relaxing your face, your eyes, your jaws, your lips, your tongue, and then delicately begin to move your head around slightly to the left or to the right. And as you move your head around, circling in one direction and then the other, Avoid creating any unpleasant or strong sensations, instead just floating over the surface of the stretch. Create delicate, subtle sensations in the neck and then move those sensations through to different areas of the neck and shoulders. As your head is leaning towards the left, use your right shoulder to help control the stretch, rolling the right shoulder back and down gently. And as your head crosses to the opposite side, switch shoulders, drawing away and down, noticing the connection between your head and the shoulders. And then coming back to center. Bring your attention back to the breath, breathing deep into the low abdomen, feeling the abdomen expand. And then opening into our first twist, leading with the left hand reaching around behind you. Draw the left shoulder blade around and down, and then lift the heart. Now in this position, we want to expand beyond diaphragmatic breathing into a complete breath. Start, though, with the diaphragmatic breath. Fully inflate the abdomen, and then continue to breathe into the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, and the collarbones. Towards the end of the exhale, draw the navel in, firming up the abdomen. And then at the beginning of the inhale, relax and then expand the abdomen again. Coming back to center, crossing to the second side, reaching around with the right hand, fingertips to the floor, cross the left hand over the opposite knee. Lift, expand, and then again a complete breath. Breathe into the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, the collarbones. Breathing deeply. Remember, a complete breath starts with a diaphragmatic breath and then continues to fill up all the way up to the collarbones. And coming back to center. Roll out the shoulders, try to feel the shoulder blades move and slide around the back, and then open the ribs into a circular movement. As you bring the ribs forward and lift the chest, breathe in. As you roll back, exhale. Occasionally reverse directions, and then come back to center. Take a moment to readjust your seated position, drawing the flesh out from the sit bones, and we'll work with opening up the hips now. From a cross-legged position, leaning forward until you feel a stretch in the hips. If you have any discomfort in the knees, lift the knees and support them with your arms. You can reposition the feet and the knees, sliding your feet closer together or further apart, or walking your feet away from you to increase the stretch. Experiment until you're able to create a healthy, pleasant sensation with no strain. You can lean a little left or right. If you want a bigger stretch, stack. Place the front foot on top of the opposite knee, so your legs look like crossing your arms. If it gets intense, ease up, lift up, or shift a little left, shift a little right. Undulating the stretch, undulating the sensation helps calm the nerves and the muscles, allowing you to work a little more deeply without creating a defense reaction in the body. Above all, make sure that the sensations you're creating are pleasurable, that you aren't forcing anything. Patience is our greatest ally in yoga. Impatience is our greatest enemy. When you're finished, straighten the legs, bounce, roll, release any tension, and then switch sides. Whatever variation you were practicing on the first side, see if that works on the second side. You may have some asymmetries though, so if it doesn't work the same, experiment, reposition, Adjust until you find a healthy, pleasant stretching sensation on the second side. Again, lean a little left or right, ease up or lean in. Avoid holding a steady sensation for a long period of time. Make good use of each exhale. Stretch the exhale into a sigh. When you're finished, come back upright and extend the legs for Dandasana. Draw the flesh out from the sit bones, tilt the pelvis forward, flex through the heels, strong legs, fingertips to the floor, lift, roll the shoulders back. If you have tight hamstrings, keep the knees bent in order to keep the back straight. We want to make sure the back is straight, that's more important. If, however, your hamstrings are long enough to permit you to, then you can extend through the legs, straightening the legs and straightening the back. Notice if you've lost your diaphragmatic breathing and return your attention to the breath. Now, coming on to our hands and knees, spread the fingers wide in table. And cat-cow. Pay particular attention to starting the inhale at the belly, not the chest. As you breathe in, allow the abdomen to sink and begin breathing into the belly. Then continue to breathe into the ribs and chest and shoulders as you finish the movement and look up. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone, round low back, mid back, upper back, tuck the head. Start the movement from the tailbone, finish with the head. Likewise, start the breath down low and finish the inhalation in the chest and shoulders. Then sink your hips back towards your heels, walk your hands in front of you, and settle into child's pose. If the extended child's pose doesn't work for you, you can, or you prefer, you can reach behind you for a classic child's pose or curling leaf. Or if you prefer, the arms extended out in front of you. And then lifting upright in preparation for camel. Rotating to the left, take that left shoulder blade, reach it around and down. The left hand supports on the hips, on the thigh, or reaching back for the ankle. And the right arm extended. There's a very slight rotation to the left. Focus not on reaching back with the left hand, but on taking the hips forward and lifting the chest up. Switching sides when you're ready. Roll the right shoulder blade around and down, the chest forward and up. The right fingertips supporting on the hip, thigh, or the heel. Breathing into the camel pose on the second side. And then coming back to center and back to table. And then a couple of cat-cows to release tension that might have come into the lower back during camel. Once again, use this as an opportunity to practice a complete breath. As you lift the tailbone, sink the belly, breathe into the belly. Then as you open the chest and look up, finish the inhale in the chest and shoulders. Walk your hands close to the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips, standing forward bend. If you have low back issues, place your hands on your thighs. If you're comfortable, hang into the forward bend and begin to go side to side. Both knees are bent slightly, but lift one heel and bend the knee more. Set it down. Lift the opposite heel, bend the knee more. Then keep both heels on the ground as you bend one knee and the other, swinging side to side. Remember, if your hamstrings are tight or your low back is feeling weak, Come up a little higher and with your arms carry some of your weight. And then rolling back up to standing. Standing into Tadasana. Bring your hands together over your heart. And take a few moments now to come back to the breath. Notice how standing affects your breathing. As you breathe in, does your mind immediately go to the chest as you start the breath? Or can you keep the breath still and take the mind and the breath down deep into the lungs, into the abdomen, feeling the abdomen expand as you breathe in, and towards the end of the exhale, begin drawing the abdomen in, drawing the sides in slightly. As you firm the abdomen towards the end of the exhale, then all you have to do is relax the abdomen to start the inhale and then continue to expand it. The chest becoming still and the abdomen expanding as you breathe in, firming as you breathe out. Now, a Viniyoga Sun Salutation. Float the arms overhead as you breathe in. Release into a forward bend as you exhale. As you roll up, buckle the knees, stack the vertebra, float the arms overhead on the inhale, reach the hips back and release into a forward bend. Continuing now with your own rhythm of breathing, letting the movement follow the breath. As you continue with the Viniyoga Sun Salutation, begin expanding your inhale into a complete breath. Breathe into the belly and then continue ribs, chest, and as you raise the arms overhead, breathing into the chest and shoulders. Allow the movement to become more fluid, more wave-like. Rolling up like a rag doll, and then working the overhead stretch as you finish a complete breath. And with each exhalation, a letting go, a surrendering, a falling away. And now hold your overhead stretch and work into a side stretch. Lift the left heel, flare the right rib cage. Lift the right heel, flare the left rib cage. Go side to side. Try to adjust to make this feel more organic, more pleasant. Little bit of a back bend. Focus on lifting the heart forward and up and taking your shoulders back. And then reach the hips behind you, place your hands on your thighs, keeping your back straight as you come into a half forward bend. And then noticing how your body's responding, and either stay at a higher level or, if you prefer, walk your hands down towards the floor and release. Make sure your low back and your legs are comfortable here. If not, come back up until your hands are on your thighs and your back is straight. When you're ready, roll back to a standing position. Walk up to the very front of your mat for a 12-step sun salutation, bringing your hands into prayer position. On an exhale, release the arms, and on the inhale, sweep up overhead. Swan dive as you breathe out. Stepping the right foot back into a big lunge. Breathe in as you open the chest, and then stepping back into plank. On the exhale, press down, keep the elbows tucked in, try to let the chest lead the hips down, and then draw through into cobra. Roll the shoulders back, reach the chest forward, press the tops of the feet into the floor, making sure you're using your back muscles, and then downward facing dog. Reach the hips away, lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling, reach the heels towards the floor. Undulate, roll, play a little bit, especially if this is your first downward dog of the day. Bend one knee and then the other, reaching through the opposite heel. Take a couple more breaths. We'll be stepping the right foot up into a lunge on an inhalation. If you struggle with that, set the left knee on the floor, lift the right hand, step the right foot up, and then come into your lunge. Any transition is fine. That's just an easier one for most people. Standing forward bend on the exhale. Overhead stretch on the inhale. Back to prayer. On your next exhale, release the arms down, sweep them out and up overhead on the inhale. Swan dive on the exhale. Leading with the left foot, stepping back into a deep lunge. At the top of your breath, hold your breath momentarily, step back into plank. And then from plank, pressing down. Draw through into cobra, roll the shoulders back. Point the toes behind you, press the tops of the feet into the floor. Reach the chest forward, roll the shoulders back, using your back muscles. And then downward facing dog, reach the hips away. Draw your chest through towards your feet. And float your inner armpits and your shoulder blades away from your feet. Reach the heels towards the floor, lift the tailbone towards the ceiling. When you're ready, set the right knee on the floor, lift the left hand, step the left foot up, lunge on the inhale, standing forward bend on the exhale. Sweep into an overhead stretch on the inhale, and then coming back to center. 2 more times. Sweep up on the inhale. Swan dive on the exhale. Right foot stepping back into a deep lunge. Breathe in as you open the chest and look forward. Hold your breath as you step back into plank. Press down and then draw through into cobra on your next inhalation. Take a breath or two, working the back muscles, and then pressing back into downward facing dog. Breathe deep and strong. When you're ready, step the right foot up into a big lunge on the inhale, following with the left foot on the exhale. Overhead stretch, sweeping overhead as you breathe in, coming back to prayer. One last round. Release the arms on the exhale, sweep up on the inhale. Swan dive, reach the hips back as you release into your forward bend. Leading with the left foot, step back, big lunge. Breathe in as you open the chest. Hold your breath in plank. Exhale as you transition down. Inhale into cobra. Roll the shoulder blades back and down. Reach the chest forward and up. Press the tops of the feet into the floor. Downward facing dog. work the pose a little more strongly this last round. Reach the sit bones away, lift the tailbone up, reach the heels down, draw the chest through, float the shoulder blades away. Spiral the legs if you know how, spiral the arms. When you're ready, step the left foot all the way up into a big lunge, breathe in, right foot following into a forward bend. On the inhale, sweep overhead, back to prayer. Take a moment to notice the effects on your breath, on your mind, on your heart rate. And then stepping wide for Trikonasana. Rotating, turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in. Swing the hips to the left, tilt the pelvis, lengthen the right side of the rib cage, the lower ribs, roll the shoulders back, open the heart. Now see if you can breathe diaphragmatically into this pose. On the exhale, firm the abdomen and the sides, like you were squeezing the air out of a balloon. And on the inhale, allow those areas to expand again, to start the inhalation. Let the chest become passive and still. And then rotating to the second side. Turn the left foot out at 90 degrees, turn the right foot in. Shift your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis, lengthen the low rib cage, the left hand on the thigh, on the shin, or on the floor. Breathing deep. And steady. The chest still, the abdomen expanding and contracting as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then coming back to center, turn your feet pigeon-toed, keeping them wide, and releasing into a forward bend. Gently sway a little left, a little right. And then begin to play a little more. Bend the right knee and then walk your hands away to the left, leaning into the straight leg. And then keeping the right knee bent, walk your hands to the right and lean into the bent leg. Moving the hips around, looking for where you can find healthy, pleasant stretches. Then switch sides, bend the left knee, lean to the right. Keeping the left knee bent as you walk your hands to the left and lean into the left leg, keeping the right leg straight, moving the hips around. And then coming back to center. And with both legs straight, walk left, walk your hands to the right. And then reach through the legs and reach behind you. Reach out in front of you without putting any weight on the hands. And then step your feet together. Standing forward bend, and then roll up and come into tree pose. On your left foot, spread the toes wide, float the right foot off the ground. Place the right heel either at the calf or bring the heel up to the groin. The arms can float out horizontal, or if you feel steady, float the arms directly overhead. Now, take a moment to notice your breath. Are you breathing into the abdomen, or did your mind go back to the chest as you start the inhale? See if you can keep some awareness on your breathing, even as you work on balancing. Transitioning smoothly to the second side. Spread the toes on the right foot, shift your weight to the right, and then either lift the left heel or place the foot at the calf or bring the heel up to the groin. Float your arms out and overhead. Once again, bring your attention back to the breathing. Breathing into the abdomen. Allowing the chest to become still. Floating your arms down, releasing the legs, coming back to Tadasana. Next, we'll be practicing Virabhadrasana 2, stepping your feet really wide, turn the right foot out, left foot in. As you bend the right knee, keep the back leg strong and straight. Sink into that back hip. Open the groin. Chest centered over the pubic bone. Float the arms. Sink the shoulders. Open the heart. And once again, come back to diaphragmatic breathing. Towards the end of the exhale, draw the abdomen in, firm up the lower abdomen as you finish breathing out. And as you breathe in, first relax and then expand into the belly as you breathe in. Take a few more deliberate, conscious breaths here. Strengthen the legs, relaxing the face, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the arms. When you're ready, switch sides. Rotate the left foot out at 90 degrees. Turn the right foot in. Strong back leg and sink your weight into that back right hip socket. Float the shoulders directly above the hips. Float the arms out horizontal, turning your head to gaze out over the left fingertips. And then once again, bring your attention back to the quality of your breathing. Let the breath be as important or more important to you today than the pose itself. When you're finished, turn the feet pigeon-toed, release into a forward bend. Sway a little left and right, bend one knee then the other. Feel your way around, creating healthy, pleasant sensations, and then moving those sensations through the body. Think less, feel more. And then coming back to center. Take a few more breaths to finish up. And then step your feet together and roll back up to a comfortable standing position. Next, we'll practice Virabhadrasana 1. Step the right foot forward, step the left back, bend the right knee into a deep lunge. As you rotate the hips to face forward, let the back heel come off the ground. Keep the back leg strong and straight, rooting through the back heel. Draw the abdomen back, lift the chest, hollow the inner armpit, sink the shoulder blades, and reach the right knee forward, sink the hips into the pose, keeping the back leg strong. Breathing with a complete breath, make sure you start the breath, the inhalation in the abdomen, and finish with the chest and shoulders as you breathe in. Switching sides when you're ready. Step the right leg back, bend the left knee, rotate your hips to face forward, float the back heel, straighten and strengthen the back leg, draw the abdomen back, float the chest, sink the shoulder blades. Warrior 1. And then focus on your breath once again. starting the inhalation in the abdomen and drawing the breath up to the chest. And at the end of the exhale, drawing the abdomen in again. When you're ready, step the right foot forward into Tadasana, and then work your way into a half forward bend, supporting weight with your hands on your thighs, the back fairly straight, the legs fairly straight, or the knees bent slightly. And then rolling back up to Tadasana. Next, we'll work with Dancer, which is a balance pose. Shift your weight to the right, float the left foot off the ground, and with your left hand grab the ankle. Raise the right arm out in front of you or overhead slightly. As you feel comfortable, you can begin to tilt your chest forward and then lift the back leg higher, and then with the back leg kick in order to pull back on the shoulder and open the chest. Take a few more breaths here, practicing with a complete breath, breathing into the belly and continuing into the ribs, chest, and shoulders. Smoothly coming back to Tadasana. Shift your weight to the left, grab the right ankle with the right hand. Take the knee straight back and then begin to lift the back foot as you extend up and away with the left arm. Keeping your attention and your focus on your breathing and letting the breath be more important to today's practice than the quality of the pose itself. Measure success by the quality of the breath. Coming back to Tadasana, and then coming down to the floor. Next we'll be working with a back roll. If you have your own roller, you can use that. If not, a blanket will work. Ideally, a blanket that is fairly firm, like a Mexican blanket, rather than something that's soft and quilty. Make your blanket long and thin, and then roll. And as you roll, keep the middle portion as firm as you can. Don't worry about the edges too much. Now, the nice thing about a rolled up blanket is you can control the size of the roller. If you unroll it, it gets smaller. If you roll it up further, it gets larger. So as you're working your way down the spine, you can adjust the size of the roller as you need to. You'll be sitting on the floor and placing the rolled blanket or the roller in your upper back, and then extending the arms out overhead. Let the hips sit on the floor, and then lower your head, lower your arms over the opposite side of the roller. The arms can be overhead, they can be out to the side, the elbows can be straight or bent, as long as you're comfortable. However, don't bring your arms down close to your hips. That creates tension in the neck. Instead, keep the elbows above the roller. In any position, if you find it is becoming intense, unroll the blanket sufficiently that you can relax again. Our goal here is to learn how to relax into the stretch rather than resisting. Occasionally, after a few breaths, reposition by lifting the hips and then with your legs pushing yourself across the roller one vertebra and setting the hips down and relaxing into the new position. In each new position, pay particular attention to the quality and sensations as you breathe in and as you breathe out. We'll take a couple more minutes to finish up with the back roll. If you finish a little earlier, go back and start over. When the roll is in the low back, it's easier to reposition by lifting your hips and then with your hands roll the blanket down to a lower area of the back and then set your hips down again. Ten or 15 more breaths to finish. When you're ready to come up, lift the hips, remove the blanket or the roller with your hands, set the hips down, and then draw your knees into your chest, hug your knees, rock side to side, releasing any tension or compression from the lower back. Next, we'll work with a little abdominal core strengthening. Keeping your knees floating over your chest, interlace your fingers behind the back of your neck. Draw the abdomen up under the rib cage. Press the kidneys down and curl the upper back off the floor, just enough to feel like you're working. Keep your focus on drawing the intestines up under the rib cage so you engage the transverse muscles. Any variations with the legs or twisting is fine. If it's too easy, you can extend the legs. If you get tired, bring the knees in closer to you. You can do a scissors kicks with the legs or lifting and twisting, any variation that makes sense to you. When you're finished, draw the knees in, hug the knees into your chest, rock side to side, and take a breath or two to rest. Then rolling over and coming up onto our hands and knees into a table position. And then coming down into Cobra. Position your wrists well behind the shoulders so that the wrist is underneath the elbows. Shrug the shoulders, draw the shoulders together and down the back, reach the chest forward, press the tops of the feet into the floor firmly so the knees are starting to lift off the ground slightly. Try to adjust so you feel the muscles in the back of the body engaging in a way that feels healthy and pleasant. Then bring your hands down into a Sphinx position, the elbows underneath the shoulders, the arms reaching out in front of you. And then from there, cross your arms, spread your feet wide, turn the feet out unless that bothers the knees. Any position that is comfortable is fine. With your elbows, walk them in under you just enough that your chest is lifting, but that your rib cage, the bottom two ribs, still touch the floor. This is crocodile. The upper chest lifted slightly, the lower ribs touching the floor, and in this position, we can practice diaphragmatic breathing. As you breathe in, the belly is pushed into the floor, and the floor resists back, so the low back will be forced to lift up a little bit as you breathe in and sink as you breathe out. Now, transitioning at your own speed into downward facing dog, we'll just take 2 or 3 breaths here. Draw the chest through, reach the hips away, lift the tailbone. We'll be transitioning into pigeon pose and beginning to slow the class down, bringing the right leg forward. Set the knee on the floor close to the right hand. If it's too intense, walk your left leg to the left and forward. If it's too easy, walk your left leg back and around to the right to get more stretch. Start with a gentle stretch. Take a breath or two. Notice how your body's responding. If you feel the body resisting or there's any discomfort anywhere at all, ease up by repositioning the back leg. On the other hand, if the muscles are relaxing, work your way a little deeper into the stretch. Focus on your exhalation, and with each exhale, let the breath go with a sigh, and use your exhalation to help relax and release into the stretch more deeply. Take a breath or two. When you're ready, push back into downward facing dog. And then, leading with the left leg this time, bring the left knee forward, set it on the floor, slide the right leg back. Again, control the intensity with the right leg, walking it to the right and forward to ease up, working it to the left and back when you decide you're ready for a deeper stretch. Use this time to breathe and relax. Noticing how the body's responding and adjusting accordingly. 5 or 10 more breaths. Breathing deep into the abdomen. Take a breath or two to finish. And then, when you're ready, come on to your back. We'll be finishing with a spinal twist. Bring both knees to your chest, or if you prefer an alternative twist, that's fine. Roll your legs to the right with your right hand anchor the top knee, and turn your upper body away, extending the left arm out. If it's creating any discomfort, bend the left elbow or rest the left hand on your forehead or bring your hand over your heart. If it feels okay, extend the arm to add a little extra weight. Let the weight of the arm help open the twist. In this position, resume a complete breath. Breathe in first to the belly and then continue with the ribs, chest, shoulders, and especially the left shoulder filling with air. Feel the shoulder rise as you breathe in. And let the left arm get heavy as you breathe out. Breathing deep, relaxing into the exhale. Take a few more breaths here on the first side. And then carefully coming back to center. Using the same leg variation, if you aren't sure, bring both knees to your chest. Roll your legs to the left, turn your upper body to the right. With your left hand, anchor the top knee. With the right arm, experiment. With the arm outstretched, a little higher, a little lower, the elbow bent more or less. Again, if you can't get comfortable, try putting your hand on your forehead or bring your hand over your heart to take the weight out of the shoulder. On the other hand, if it feels good, extend the arm, letting the weight of the arm help increase the twist. Once again, bring your attention to the breath, breathing with a complete breath, belly, ribs, chest, and shoulders, feeling the right shoulder rise as you breathe in. And using your exhale to relax, to surrender into the twist. Taking a few more slow, deep, complete breaths on the second side. When you're finished, come back to center, draw your knees into your chest, rock side to side. Letting your low back release and decompress. We'll be closing with Shavasana. If you are comfortable laying flat on the floor, you can go ahead and get set. If you need some support for your neck, fold your blanket, roll from one edge towards the center, fold from the opposite side towards the center, and then adjust the roll and the fold. The roll goes under the neck, the fold goes under the head, and you can adjust both until you get just the right support. A little bit higher under the neck, a little bit lower under the head, so that we maintain the cervical curve. Take a moment to adjust your posture, laying flat on your back. If your low back feels unsafe or uncomfortable, bend the knees or place your feet over the back of a chair or a bolster. You can take the feet a little wider and let the knees turn in, or you can bring the feet together and let the knees fall out. But for most people, if you can straighten out the legs comfortably, that is the classic position in Shavasana. The feet spread hip width. Hands either side of the hips at a slight angle. Check your body for symmetry, for expansiveness, lengthening, expanding everything, but also for comfort. Place one hand on your chest, one hand on your abdomen, and once again bring your attention back to the breath. Focus on taking the breath down into the belly. Allow the chest to become still, the belly to rise and fall. Whenever you're comfortable, you can release both hands to the floor. But continue this practice of abdominal breathing. Deliberately slow the breath down slightly, breathing just 5% slower than you would otherwise. As you slow the breath down, it has a calming effect on the nervous system. As long as you don't slow down too much, just a little bit. And as you continue to breathe slowly, diaphragmatically, at the same time begin a progressive relaxation. Your face, your neck, your shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Feet, ankles, calves, knees, and thighs, loosening hips. Relax the buttocks. Take a deeper breath and let the arms and the legs fall away with a sigh. Relaxing the low back, the belly, the kidneys, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders. The back of the neck and softening the throat. Relaxing the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. The tip of the tongue, the belly of the tongue, the root of the tongue, all the way down the throat. All the way down through the pericardium, the diaphragm. Relax the cheeks and especially the eyes, the eyeballs, the space behind, beneath, around the eyes. The eyelids float lightly above the eyes. And relaxing the eyebrows, the forehead. The temples, soft and hollow. And relaxing the scalp and the crown. And ever so softly bring your attention back to the breath. Feel the abdomen rising as you breathe in, falling as you breathe out. Allowing the breath to become more fluid, more wave-like. Now breathing a little deeper. Start with a diaphragmatic breath, but allow the ribs and chest to join into a complete breath as you spread the fingers and toes. Slowly, lazily extend the arms overhead. Yawning. arching, twisting, oh, stretching through the left side, the right side. And then rolling to one side, and take a breath or two as you lay on your shoulder. And then using your hands to push yourself up over to a seated position, sitting cross-legged. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed our practice together and look forward to seeing you soon. Bringing your hands together over the heart. Namaste.